Okay. All right. So welcome, everybody. If you don't know me already, my name's Andrea Pareto. I'm the middle school counselor, and I appreciate you joining me today for our talk about when it's social. As you know, this is being recorded for parents who aren't able to be here, and I just ask that you keep yourself muted until the end when we open up Q&A. If you think of a question as I'm talking through some of these things, the Q&A option is open, and the chat has been disabled, but Q&A is an option. So there should be a button at the bottom for Q&A. If you don't see a Q&A option to type in your question, the lower right-hand corner has an icon with 3 shapes. If you click on that icon, there should be an option there for Q&A that you can click on and type in your question. If you have a question specific to your daughter, I would recommend reaching out to me via email or phone call, and we can talk through it. But I think those are all of the housekeeping things, so we'll jump right into When It's Social. I wanted to start with a brief video created by When It's Social about the program and the benefits for each of the stakeholders. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we'll get started with the video.
So if you speak up and encourage them to stop, it makes other people think about what they're doing.
I got 3 out of my 4 jobs thanks to social media, and it could be a positive influence in our lives.
Okay, so as you can see, the Social Institute has put a lot of effort into creating a thoughtful and intentional curriculum that really meets the needs of each stakeholder, so parents, teachers, and adolescents. So one thing I love about it is that they do want it to be engaging for kids. So they have incorporated student feedback when they're creating their lessons to make sure that they are relatable and real life experiences that they might experience when they're interacting with social media or digital media. They've also made it easy for teachers to implement, And I think you all can probably relate to this, but oftentimes we as adults feel completely lost when we're navigating the digital sphere, especially when it comes to what our kids are looking at and how they're interacting online. And so the Social Institute has been really, really intentional with making it easy for us adults to navigate in order to help the kids understand and develop healthy ways to interact with all of this. So data from the Social Institute tells us that 95% of teens regularly use smartphones, 45% of teens say they're online almost constantly, and the average adolescent has 8.3 hours of screen time per day between their device use at school and their personal device use at home. So as we can see, it's a really, really big part of our girls' lives. And so it's important for us to be able to help them navigate that in a way that's responsible and helps them interact in a way that is representative of their values and their interests and things that are important to them. So the Social Institute stays on top of current trends and is constantly researching and creating new materials to address the most popular apps that they're using or websites. And like I said, they ensure that the lessons are relatable and touching on real life examples of what they might be experiencing online. But my favorite part about the curriculum is that it's proactive versus reactive. So what that means is that the lessons, instead of focusing on the don'ts and avoid completely and never interact with it, instead of approaching it from that standpoint, they approach it with tools and strategies for how to navigate things that they're going to experience in a healthy, positive way. And so it's really focused on the positive aspect, with the idea that they're going to be on the internet, they're going to be using social media, but doing so, they ensure that that the tools that we're giving them are real and relatable and helpful when they're navigating social media. So I want to take a look at these slides that the Social Institute has shared with us. You can see here that the Social Institute has incorporated these goals and standards into their lessons to make it a holistic program that addresses not only the social media aspect, but leadership development, emotional intelligence, college and career prep, character development, diversity, equity, inclusion, and current events. So using student voices, relatable role models, and incorporating the tech piece really gives them a holistic opportunity to address each area of their life. That's really important. Excuse me. Next slide. This next slide talks about the specific goals for each developmental age. So we are implementing the program from grades 4 through 9. And so you can see here that in grades 4 through 5, we really focus on laying the foundation and building social skills and emotional awareness. As they move into the middle school years, they focus on more so on navigating the daily social challenges. And then as they get into 9th grade, the lessons become more abstract and focus on developing soft skills, emotional intelligence, and giving them opportunities to think through their future, whether that's going to college or one day in the workforce. And so it really addresses each stage of development really well. Each grade level, grades 4 through 9 that we're implementing, has 7 core standards that were created, informed by evidence-based competencies from CASEL. And CASEL is an organization that focuses on research around social emotional development. So all of these lessons have been informed by CASEL. And what I love about these core standards is that it plays perfectly into our mission as a school at St. Mary's. And so it really talks about reflecting your values and character, protecting your privacy, balancing all of our responsibilities, handling the pressure, being mindful of what you're consuming and how that might affect you. And then finding your voice and using that voice for good. So that's a brief, very brief and quick overview of how the curriculum was developed and the key concepts that are incorporated in the curriculum. But I wanted to give you an example of what a lesson might look like from your daughter's perspective. And Lauren is going to help me out here. So I'm going to pull up this lesson really quickly, and I'll show you exactly what the girls will see. Okay, so each lesson is gamified, and the format is similar kind of to a Kahoot, which the girls really love playing. And so we pull up this initial screen. There's a code. The girls will go to this website, and they will pick an icon that represents themselves. They don't put in their name, so it's all anonymous, which hopefully helps them feel more comfortable answering honestly when the quiz questions come up. And so Lauren has picked her icon. We're going to get started. And at the beginning, after a student picks their icon, I wanted to mention this quickly. There's a short questionnaire, one question about how they're feeling that day. So they can pick happy or sad or excited or stressed or meh, just okay. And so after each lesson, we get real-time data with how the girls are feeling. And then there's an additional question at the end of the lesson about what they got out of the lesson. And so that is real-time data that we can track over the year and helps us have a pulse on how things are going within our community and can guide decisions around curriculum and activities and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and start this lesson. The lesson will start with a quote read by a Win It Social team member that is in line with the theme for the lesson.
You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker Jim Rohn once famously stated. The thing is, for a lot of us, 1 or 2 of those 5 people may be our favorite YouTuber or TikToker. So how do the people in our day-to-day lives influence us, whether they're with us in person or on our screen? And how can we make sure that they're influencing us for the better? Let's find out.
So after the initial theme is read out, there's an opportunity for an extension activity here that lists 3 articles that correspond with the lesson. So the teacher has the option to explore these articles in more depth, or could use that as an extension activity at the end. And then once you get started with the lesson, generally lessons will start with a quiz. So this first quiz, what do you think makes a positive role model? And then the girls get to read the prompt, which is positive role models can come from any number of places and inspire us to set goals, achieve our potential, and bring out the best in ourselves. Take a moment to consider someone you look up to. Which of the qualities below do you admire most about that person? So the girls will then pick their answer here. And then once everyone has answered, it generates a report of which option was picked. That gives us a percentage. And what they love the most is being able to compare what other people in the school who have taken this lesson have said, and then what students across the nation have said as well. So it's a really interesting talking point that that can help them feel like their peers are feeling the same way that they are, and that it's not just them that feels the way they do. So after the initial quiz, it goes into a huddle. So what makes someone a positive role model? How can we be positive role models for others, like younger students, siblings, or teammates? And at this point, we divide the girls up into small groups for discussion. We give them some time to discuss as a group the prompt, and then we come together as a class to discuss that. And so again, this is just the very beginning of the lesson. There are additional quiz questions throughout the lesson, as well as additional discussion points. And usually there's an extension activity as well for the teacher in the class after the lesson. And then the part that I think you will enjoy as well is there's an extension activity for families as well. So the lesson that I just showed you was called Surrounding Yourself with People and Content That Inspire You, and that falls under the Find Your Influencers standard. And so these are called family huddles, and this is an extension activity that you can do at home with your girls as well, and it corresponds to the lesson that they've had here at school. So you're able to reinforce what they've learned, but also apply your own family's values and preferences to social media or digital media. So each family huddle includes a brief overview of what the lesson was, some ways that students are interacting with this standard. So for example, students are recognizing positive role models in real life, but not following those people online. There's a section for related articles where you can either go through these articles together as a family, or if you feel like you need more preparation before you sit down as a family, then you can read these in preparation for that. And then the great thing that I love here at the bottom is that it gives you 3 talking points or 3 prompts, I guess, that you can discuss as a family. So number 1, for example, is what are 3 positive traits of each family member that we admire? And then go around the room and share how each family member acts as a positive role model. So it's a really good opportunity to sit down as a family and talk through what your preferences are, what your expectations are, what boundaries you have, but also in a positive way and not in a way that feels overbearing or too authoritative, I guess. So we will be sending out the family huddles that correspond to each lesson that we do in school. And so you'll get those via email or the SMS Express. But the most exciting thing that I really, really would love to show you is the Parent Toolkit. So you can see we're in the Parent Toolkit now, and Family Huddles is an option within that. So if you have a 7th grader and you're hoping to have some conversations as a family about playing to your core, you can access that family huddle anytime, even if we don't send it out. And it has all of the same categories that we just talked about. So when you log into the Parent Toolkit, the first page that will come up is the welcome letter. And this is just a summary of what you can find within the Parent Toolkit. You can also sign up for a newsletter that will send you emails about updates or new things that are added to the Parent Toolkit or things to be aware of. But the area that I think will be most helpful is this right here, playbooks. And this is going to be super helpful with just wrapping your mind around what all is included on social media and what it looks like. So for example, if you have a middle schooler, you can click on Top Middle School and it'll bring up a list of the most popular apps or websites or games that your middle schoolers are most likely to be using. So for example, I'm going to go into Instagram because we all probably know what that is. But in each playbook, there are different categories that explain more information about Instagram. So it starts with a rundown of what Instagram is, how many people use it. It gives a section on how students are using Instagram or whatever the app is positively. So for example, staying in touch with friends near or far, liking, commenting, interacting with people, sending direct messages. It gives a section on how people are being tripped up by Instagram. So for example, following Instagram models or celebrities and comparing their self-worth to them. Gives a section about if there are any buying features and things to be aware of. There is also a section of features to be aware of on Instagram. So for example, you can stream live videos with select viewers or the public. Viewers can comment on your live stream, like it with hearts, or even ask to be a part of it. There's also an explore page that are not necessarily pages that you follow, but it's a page to get you looking at things similar to what you've liked in hopes of following that account. If you keep scrolling, there's also a YouTube video on each playbook that walks you through what the app icon looks like, how to download it, setting up an account, different features in the app and what that looks like on your device. talks about, gives examples of how people are using Instagram and minimum age recommendation and the terms of use according to the app or website. Has a section about how people are using Instagram positively. And then I think this is one that parents will love as well, as this is a full comprehensive list of how to make your strong settings. So turning off notifications, making your account private, being aware of fake Instagram accounts that kids will make sometimes a second account on Instagram for their parents not to know about. So just tips and tricks of things about settings that can help you help your kids. And then at the bottom, there are more resources. A lot of times Common Sense Media will be linked here, blogs, websites, things you need to know. And so this is an incredibly valuable resource because it can really help you understand how your kids are using it, what they're seeing, and how to put boundaries around that you're comfortable with. If you go back to the playbook tab, there are lots of different categories here that you can look at. If you're trying to find a playbook and it's not here, you can also request one to be made. So like I mentioned earlier, the Social Institute is really great about staying current with trends, what kids are using, and things to be aware of. So if it's not on there and you've noticed your kid is using it, please request one and they will make it for you and let you know when they've made it. So again, playbooks are here. We talked about family huddles. And then the last thing I'd like to show you is the wall of wins. And this is a whole page dedicated to how people are using social media positively. And what I love about that is that it takes the fear out of it, in that I think we all probably as adults, not having grown up with social media and the internet, there can be a lot of fear and uncertainties there. And so I think what this does is help us to know that even though there can be some questionable things out there, there's also a lot of good that we can highlight instead. So for example, you can click on a standard and then it'll bring up options below of things that you can look into or examples that you can use with your daughters about how things are being used positively. So for example, being a role model, you can click on this link and it'll show you a video about this person being a role model for younger girls on social media. So I really love that this program is positive and encouraging and tries to take the fear and unknown and uncertainty out of using the internet and social media. The last thing to talk about is how to access this. And give me just a moment. I'm going to try to share a screenshot so you can see what it looks like. Here it is. Okay. So this is the parent portal on Veracross. And our amazing communication team has helped me put an article on here that will show up on this main page right here. So you're going to click right here, helping students navigate social media, and that will bring up an article with more information about the curriculum. And then at the bottom, there will be a link to the login in addition to the school code. You have to put the school code in order to create your account, but that's just the first time. So once you create your username and password, you can log in as many times as you'd like, anytime, anywhere. There will be a link that we're adding, or a button that we're adding here to the login page, but you do have to create your account first. So this is where you can find the school code to create your account. And if it's easier, I would recommend bookmarking the tab on your phone or your device, your computer, iPad, whatever you use. That way you can click easily and you can save your login information to get to it quickly and easily. I have tried to get through everything succinctly, so hopefully it all made sense and was easy to understand. I'm going to stop presenting. But now's the time for questions if you have any.